Welcome in everybody to another video. This time we're going over the Thursday night football matchup against the Bills and the Patriots. Let's go ahead and look at the fantasy depth chart, see what we're going to look at here today. Starting at the quarterback position, we have Josh Allen going against Mac Jones. Now, Josh Allen, again, like I always say, he's one of those studs. You set it and forget it with Josh Allen, no matter who the matchup is. But let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper here. The Patriots are kind of averaging in the middle of the pack against opposing quarterbacks for fantasy points per week. Josh Allen should have a good game here. I think he's going to kind of show out just a little bit. Now, the Patriots defense overall is actually pretty good, but I think Josh Allen gives you just enough to just satisfy your palate here. He's going to be a good quarterback this week, just like he is most weeks. I think you're going to see a nice game from him this week. Let's go over and move over to Mac Jones of the Patriots going against the Bills defense, ranking giving up the 7th least amount of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. It's a very scary situation for Mac Jones. I know last week he actually went ham sauce against the Minnesota Vikings defense. He went 28 for 39 for 382 yards and 2 touchdowns. He really showed what he's what he's made of. But the Vikings defense are nothing than what the Bills defense is and the secondary. So it's just kind of one of those things that, are they going to give Mac Jones a problem? Probably so. The secondary overall for the Bills isn't very good, but the front 7 could give Mac Jones quite a bit of problems overall. And now that we kind of counteract to these quarterbacks, we're going to say Josh Allen is a start and Mac Jones is a start. Just kind of to really rehash on this, Mac Jones, I'm not 100% confident he's going to get there and have the game you saw last week, 382 yards passing. I don't think that's feasible against the Bills defense, but if you're in a pinch, if your quarterback is on bye, Mac Jones is definitely a fill-in quarterback that could potentially have a very good game. So definitely get him in your lineups. Let's go ahead and move over to the running back position. Let's go over to the Bills team first, and we're really just looking at Devin Singletary here. Devin Singletary really has taken over the lead role. Nyheim Hines, since coming over from the Colts, really isn't doing much. James Cook, the rookie's not doing much. Cook had 2 carries. Nyheim Hines had 1 carry. And we're looking at that Devin Singletary with 14 carries last week. He's getting the bulk of the carries. We're looking at 12 plus carries per week for Devin Singletary, doing really well. And then obviously Josh Allen's going to get his, 5 to 10 carries a week as well, just because he is a really good running quarterback. Devin Singletary, really the only running back, here, that I'm going to be even looking at. All the other running backs are definitely going to be on the bench. Devin Singletary going up against the Patriots defense, giving up the 2nd least amount of points to opposing running backs. So this week, I would say Devin Singletary is a sit. Let's move over to the Patriots side. We're going to look at 2 running backs right here, Rhamondre Stevenson and Damien Harris. Now, Rhamondre Stevenson did take over the lead role from Damien Harris midway through this season. But as of right now, even last week, they're kind of sharing some carries. Stevenson normally will get a lot more carries, but last week, he didn't really need to load the ball. They were just dominating, falling behind on the Vikings, and they just needed to pass the ball over the field. You saw Stevenson with 7 carries, Damien Harris with 5 carries. I think Stevenson's actually going to get more carries this week against the Bills defense. I mean, they're kind of the middle of the pack when it comes to opposing running backs fantasy points. But I see Rhamondre Stevenson had a really good game here against the Buffalo Bills defense. I think they're going to lean on Rhamondre Stevenson quite a bit, way more than they did last week. I think Damien Harris is going to slowly but surely be a no-name in this backfield. I see him actually moving on next season. This will be Stevenson's backfield. So right now I have Rhamondre Stevenson as a start and Damien Harris as a sit. Let's move along, going on to the wide receiver positions. Let's start first with the Bills. We have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie. Now, these Bills wide receivers going against a Patriots defense who's given up the 6th least points to opposing wide receivers, and they've just been really, really stingy. But then again, the Bills defense, or the Bills offense, are on another level. Stephon Diggs, he can break away any given play. Gabe Davis is a deep threat. Isaiah McKenzie, very, very fast. I mean, you could just look at it last week. Even though Stephon Diggs is normally the biggest target guy, he had 8 targets or 8 receptions last week. I mean, you saw Isaiah McKenzie, the guy who normally gets you 1 or 2 catches a game, really long down the field. He had 6 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown last week. So McKenzie was even in the mix here. Gabe Davis only 4 receptions for 38 yards, but I still see Gabe Davis being very, very viable. I think Stefon Diggs and Gabe Davis is a surefire bet. I think McKenzie is, if you are going to put him in, he is more of a flex play. But as far as the starts and sits, we're going to go Stefon Diggs as a start, Gabe Davis as a start, and Isaiah McKenzie as a sit. Now, even though I have McKenzie here as a sit, like I said, if you need a flex play, you could do way worse than McKenzie. Again, he could get you the yards that you need to be viable this week. I just wouldn't bank all my role on, especially coming up to the playoffs. Set your best lineup possible. If McKenzie is the best person you can, go ahead and throw him in there. He should be able to get you some type of points. Let's move over to the other side of the football. With the Patriots, we have Jakobi Meyers, Devontae Parker, and Nelson Agholor. The Bills defense giving up the 8th most points to opposing wide receivers. This is where I think you're going to be making your heyday on the Patriots side. I think these guys have the ability to do something really, really special if given the opportunity. These guys are all over the field when it comes to week in and week out. You don't have the consistency. Jakobi Meyers 1 week could be the guy giving you 8 to 9 receptions. Last week we saw he only had 3 receptions for 62 yards. So Devontae Parker 4 receptions, 80 yards, and Nelson Agholor had 6 receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown last week. So as far as confidence goes, I'm not completely confident in any of these guys. But if I had to put my money on somebody, I would definitely probably say Jakobi Meyers is your guy. I would just say Jakobi Meyers is a start, Devontae Parker is a sit, and Nelson Agholor is a sit. And I know what you're saying, but hold on here, Bengal. We got the Bills defense giving up the 8th most points to opposing wide receivers. Why do you have 2 of their top 3 wide receivers as sits? Well, it's basically because of consistency for me. Now, like I said, you can see Myers and Parker both have great games here. You can see Agholor getting a nice touchdown down the field. You could still flex these guys, but as far as confidence goes, I can't sit here and recommend you guys starting Devontae Parker and Nelson Agholor over other people. Jakobi Meyers, I think, is the main target here in this offense, and just based on the defense that they're playing, I think Jakobi Meyers is actually a pretty safe bet this week. So let's go ahead and move over to the last position here, the tight end position. We're going to talk about Dawson Knox and Hunter Henry. Dawson Knox is kind of the lost man. You know, I called it before the season started that he was going to be definitely a bust this season, and he has not disappointed on that prediction. Dawson Knox, not somebody you want to really target ever. He's nothing like he was last week. He is going against the Patriots defense, giving up the 8th most receiving yards to opposing tight ends, but they don't use the tight end that much. I mean, we're looking at just last week, he had 2 receptions for 17 yards, and one of those receptions was 15 yards long. So it's just, Dawson Knox doesn't give you enough opportunities to get you any kind of fantasy points. I would definitely have Dawson Knox as a sit. And I know I'm saying the Patriots defense gives up a lot of points to opposing fantasy tight ends, but giving up the points doesn't really matter if your offense isn't giving you the opportunity to succeed. So that's why I have Dawson Knox as a sit. Moving over to the other side, we're talking about Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry going up against the Bills defense, giving up the 8th least points to opposing tight ends this season. I called it last week on the Thursday night that he could be a good play. I put him in there, but I don't think that Hunter Henry, again, has the opportunities week in and week out to be consistent. I'm definitely going to put Hunter Henry as a sit. Again, especially with these 2 tight end spots. I mean, both of these offenses really isn't targeting the tight end consistent enough for me to recommend for these guys. I hope you guys do well this week. Hopefully you guys get off to a good foot starting some of these guys in your Thursday night matchups. Can't wait to see you guys on that next video. We'll see you guys next time.